All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody out there, because I don't know what you guys identify as. I know I identify as I'm a man.
Man,
And another man, big hairy man. Fitz, what's up, Fitz?
I'll just enjoying the beautiful day.
There you
Another day
go.
alive. It's always a good day.
Welcome,
So
welcome,
good. I haven't done that in a long time.
welcome to episode 44 of the Across Your Bow podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Sir Venom IK. You guys can hit me up right there, as you see, Sir Venom IK at on the Twitters at Sir underscore Venom
There you go.
underscore IK. Got to say my own names here. And then, of course, if you guys are here in the Twitch channel, then obviously it's twitch.tv/ Sir Venom IK. As I'm trying to fix and center some things here that I messed up when I scrolled some things around. Joining me today this week, my man Fitz in your half, long time contributor here on the Twitch channel. And
There.
how many times have you been on the podcast now? 3 or 4 times?
It's like four, I think. Yeah.
4 or 5, something like that. Either way. So what have you been doing this week? Forget about this week. You went to Disney last week. Tell us about your trip real quick.
I did. Well, went to Disney World.
I got
Got me
some of
one of
those.
them.
You know, I put that on, and my son was like, you look like a penis with a hat on when you wear that thing, right?
Built this guy.
Got your little remote control car.
Yep. Droid.
Yeah, nice little droid
I got my lightsaber. I ain't getting that one. I built the lightsaber.
and a stick.
Um, yeah, it's a glow stick. Makes noise. It's great,
Yeah.
especially at night. The light is
Mm.
sexy. I walked like 40 miles.
Oh yeah,
That was pretty rough. Of course, I'm sitting on my lightsaber, and that's why I'm sitting so
tall,
comfortably.
sitting so tall.
Um, yeah, no, at the time of my life, I went on almost every single ride I needed to go on. Um,
Space Mountain.
only,
Space Mountain was shut down when we
yep,
went to go up there.
did Space Mountain. Um, did all sorts of shit. Spent probably about $1,000 eating out.
That's
So,
expensive there.
um, it is, but the food is so good, and you get full
Yeah.
when you eat. So yeah, that's nice. I had no problem doing that.
Yep.
I was prepared for it. So didn't see any football players. Didn't see any them important movie star people. A lot of Europeans. A lot of Italian. That accent is sexy. I love it.
Bobbity boobity.
A lot of Brazilian people. A lot of Spanish people. They look like you and me, but they speak Spanish. And then I didn't see any Japanese, which was strange. I saw quite a few Chinese people though, um, and uh, and no, there was no threat of the coronavirus, so I am just fine. Thank you.
Coronavirus? Isn't that like bottle bottle of booze?
Right? What's the cure to coronavirus? It's tequila. No,
It's the lime.
it's
It's the
something that.
lime.
So if you guys don't know, I'm in Washington State. Um, there are, I want to say, there's 8 counts of coronavirus that made it over here from China. Yeah, it's much bigger in China. And essentially, it gives you SARS, which is severe acute respiratory syndrome.
Yeah, it's no
Um,
joke, man.
and so that like gives you your body forces itself to get pneumonia to fight it, and um, and all sorts of problems can come from that. Fuck you, gods. And like one of the ways is that you drown standing up.
Yep.
That kind of shit.
Dry
So
drowning. Yeah. I totally get it.
yeah, there you go. Vax G, whatever.
131 deaths and
That's
eight deaths.
right.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
pretty
no,
intense
it's no.
thing, man. It ain't no joke, guys. Take care of yourself. If you get sick, man, go to the fucking doctor. Don't be like me. Don't be stubborn. Go to the doctor. Admit that you need help. All right. So you came back. What? Your first day back on ships was last night.
I played a little bit with G Spot and what's his name? G Spot. You'd have to help me with that. But I played like 4 games, and then I went up to get some food, and then I laid down on my bed, and I thought it'd be like half-hour nap, and I slept the whole night. So
There you go.
the jet lag was real. It was a 7-hour flight. Um, and then, but yeah, the yesterday was the first day that I was able to actually sit down and play, and I was rusty as hell.
It's
I was
all
like,
right.
oh yeah,
I
that's
carried you through
whatever.
one of those
Shots
games.
go. Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But oh well.
Gotta love those mid runs on Two Brothers, right?
Oh, you know
I
it.
mean,
Oh,
those things are so much
we had
fun,
the
dude.
ships to do it though. So I mean,
Turpits,
Massachusetts.
Turpits in a mass. Yeah, it was dirty. I want
You
you
know,
guys to know that I had 6 kills in that game. 4 of them were DDs, and 3 of those DD kills were close quarters combat. It was a lot of fun. It was a really fun game, um, and which doesn't happen very often. So either way, so there you go. News. Let's jump right into the news, and we're going to talk about some of these things a little bit later in a little bit more detail. But British tokens, you can now get them for doing directives, so you can unlock the ships, unlock the British heavy cruisers 5, 6, 7, and 8. Only downside to this, from what I've seen, is that this has really become gambling. I think because I know my RNG. I know some people bought them, and they spent 35,000 doubloons getting them. I think Stab's got all 4 of them for 35,000 doubloons. I've spent about 21,000. I've gotten 2 of them. And then through the actual tokens themselves, you have another section, but I've gotten the same boat twice now, so I'm not too happy about that. What do you think? Do you think that these things in these boxes are just gambling now?
um, yeah, essentially it is. And if you don't like gambling, you can just straight up buy them. So you know, I like it. I like what they're doing. It's nothing new. Um, one of the ships, the destroyer, is really mediocre, but and then I won my other one amazingly last night twice. So the Wukong.
Yeah,
And then but the Baijie is so fun. Love that boat.
yeah, Bajaj is really good. We'll go into detail about those a little bit later in the cast. Anchors Away, the last Anchors Away event from last year ends this year. It's February 22nd, 2020, at the USS Kidd down there in Louisiana. Starting at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, and like I said, it's the last event from this last 2019's Anchor Away events. They will announce the 2020 if they're going to do it eventually. So as soon as they get all that stuff done, there will be an announcement made for the new ones. How many of you guys out there? You guys can hit me up via the Discord or via the YouTube. There actually went to an event this year. I know I made it to. I was going to make it to 2, but it got snow one weekend, so I wasn't able to make the USS Texas event there, but I did make the Lexington event, and that was a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun meeting some people and just having a good time out there, talking with Wargaming and meeting the new guys that are working there now, and got to tour the facility there in Austin. That was pretty dope, and made that round trip there. So, have you made any of those events yet, Fitz?
No, they had one up here in Bremerton, and it was like the USS Turner Joy, I think,
Right.
and I think that's an old frigate. And so I was like, and the weather was crap too, so I decided not to go. Me and my brother-in-law were planning on going to it, but then it just became shite. And it was like we'd rather go to like a decent ship. Like I think the Kid would be really fun, because it's a destroyer. So it's got some firepower. It's got history, and it's not such a huge damn ship that you can
You could get across it in a
spend
couple
some time
hours.
in it. You just spend, yeah, you see the whole thing in a short amount of time, and it's cool. The aircraft carrier, like I went to the Midway down in San Diego when I went on vacation there. That ship's huge, and it's like
Takes forever.
it
Uh,
does take forever. So I was like,
when we went to
so
TwitchCon this year, I know Achox and a bunch of the warships guys. I ended up not going the first day, but I went the last day to the Midway, and it was like it was a nice little thing to do, just to get away from all the hecticness of what TwitchCon is, and just a last day, just walk around, have a good time. Brought my son with me, and he had a good time on that boat too. So if you guys do ever get to a chance to get to one, man, try to make it a point to get out there. I know Mo was talking about the Yorktown. He went to the Yorktown and gave everybody their cock hats and their Gamecocks hats. There you go. So it was a good time. The Lunar New Year boats, Silly Wangy, Wukong, and Bajay, are now available to purchase from the store. You guys can earn them from the boxes. And like I said, we'll go into a little bit more detail about those boats and our thoughts on those a little bit later on in the cast. There's really not much. That's pretty much all the news for this week, man. There is a contest if you guys want to create a camo that will be a disposable camo, you know, like your Type 5s, Type 59s, that kind of stuff, that will be involved with the Research Bureau. There's a contest there. You guys just have to go to the Wargaming website to find that information and download the stuff, and then however you guys want to do it. So there you go. So that's all the news. That's all the news we got.
And if you guys are thinking about if you have like any creativity in you at all, even with stick figures, enter that, and you'd be surprised. My brother-in-law did that, and he did do something with stick figures, and he won a hood out of it. And so now he caught a little bit of flack about that on the forums,
That
and it's
poor
kind
guy.
of funny. But fuck him, I don't care. It's my brother-in-law.
Now the
And
hood.
so, oh yeah,
Poor
but
guy.
well, I mean, it's free ship, so
Yeah, free ship's good.
um,
Not going to
but
complain at free.
he drew like a stick figure thing of Pearl Harbor with the Arizona Memorial, and then he sent a picture of the actual memorial from the USS Missouri, and so they liked the idea, and I think it was a contest for a port or something like that, and yeah, sent him a hood the first week that it came out, and so that was when everyone wanted it, and
Then they got it,
so yeah, yeah. Then they got it, and I go, oh, shit,
and then they
never
sold
played
it
again.
twice.
Now you got to pay me $5 to play it, damn it. And so, um, yeah, go ahead and try. You don't win if you don't try. So,
That's right. Because you never know,
you know,
man. Sometimes they do voting on them, and I know the Bliss Kavika camo that got voted on is the one that we have now for an alternate camo. So you never know, man. A lot of people might actually like the idea. All right, so let's move on. There's something that came up last night in the conversation of the stream, and I wanted to let's dig deeper into this. Now, let's talk a little bit RNG. Let's talk a little bit RNG. You ready for this, Fitz?
yeah, let's just make sure my ears don't burn again.
Yeah. So,
Oh, wait, Gods isn't on here, so it'll be.
yeah. So RNG affects people differently, and I think that in my experience,
Absolutely.
I literally have probably the worst RNG when it comes to fire's chance, when it comes to being set on fire. I have the extremes of dispersion RNG when it comes to certain boats. I have the extremes of just my iteration. There is no middle ground when it comes to me. When my RNG is shit, it is shit completely. There is no half game shit. It was just all crap. When my RNG is on, the entire game is good. But there is no, okay, well, there is no, well, that was an average game or whatever because my RNG was good here and then not good there and then good here. It's either a trash game or it's a good game, period. I have no average games anymore. Do you feel this way sometimes or at all? I mean, do you have generally decent RNG for you can?
Um, I find my RNG not to be bad. I definitely have what I feel is a lot of average games. It's like 80 to 100K on a battleship. More with a cruiser, of course, because that's easy. And then usually get around 60K with a destroyer. And so, but I've known, and I've seen it with you too. Like you'll, I've seen you more than I can count get a nice battleship size gap with your torp spread,
All
and
the time.
when it went out, it looked great, and then all of a sudden, you're like, what the fuck is that? And I'll look at if I can't see your spread from where I'm at, I'll look at your stream real quick and be like, oh, that's ugly, and
Yeah.
but uh,
Yeah, it's
I've
funny.
noticed that with shooting, it's a lot more prevalent. Like I'll shoot somewhere and I know it's a good shot because I've obliterated things with that same shot before, and it's like it's almost as bad as your shoot the moon clip. And it's like,
Yeah.
where the fuck did those go?
Yeah.
And so it's ridiculous sometimes, and it pisses me off, but. We have spoke about this before. It's like at the beginning of the game, sometimes it's like really bad, and then all of a sudden you're hitting everything towards the end of the game and
Yeah.
knocking the shit out of ships,
Oh,
and so like for me is like, does that make it good RNG, or do I just look at it as a whole? I think it's a perspective thing, so it averages out, so it's about average for me. So
right. I think it's
um
I think it's interesting because while you were gone, I had a game in the John Bart, and the first like five
yeah.
or seven shots that I had were just monster shots, and then I go to fight a buffalo, and he's flat broadside, and I get 13 overpins.
Oh
13 overpins, and
yeah,
that's four
dumb.
four different volleys that I shot at this guy. The very first volley, I got 2 pins and 1 overpin, or one pin and 2 overpins, and then the rest of them was 5 overpins, 5 overpins. And I was like, "What in the world is going on here?" And like, I put it out there, on the YouTube, and I put it out there in the community contributor discords. I was like, "This is the kind of crap that drives me nuts about this game, because there is no consistency. You either knock the shit out of them, or you do the most minimum damage that you could do, and that's overpinning. And it's so frustrating, and it just makes me want to pull my hair out when I get shots like that. And I'm like, now, and I'm looking at those shots that I take after the fact. Okay, maybe I was aiming too high, but no, right at the fucking water line. I know he turned out just a little bit, but that opens up his broadside even more. So how come I'm still getting these stupid overpins? And I think that they've gone through and added this sense of realism to the game that only benefits the cruisers, and it does not benefit the battleships. Wargaming themselves have said on numerous occasions, we want the game to progress, and we want the game to come a little bit closer together. But then they add these quote unquote realistic mechanics into the game, where shell pinning versus your fuse timer versus it has to go through this much armor before it can actually detonate and activate. But so what does that do? That pushes the battleships further away from each other, further away from the cruisers, which only benefits the cruisers because now they're mobile, and I can only fire once every 30 seconds or so. I think that realism has a place in this game, but realism also needs to work both directions. I think that's what we're missing in this game currently is a realism factor that benefits both sides. But I don't know. What do you think of that? What do you guys think of that?
I concur completely. Imagine, so like say so the Baiji, or what was the other one, the Slava,
Yeah,
the
Slava,
one the
the
two
Russian,
battleships that shoot the lasers,
the Russian one that hasn't come out yet.
or Kremlin within 12 kilometers.
Right.
Think of it that way. Um, why can't I do something like that around 16 kilometers or
Yeah.
18 kilometers? But look at the fucking the Hindenburg does it no problem. 18 kilometers, it will gun you down now. Um, and that's
because
fine. I'm
because
fine with
why?
that.
It's
But
got smaller shells. This is something that I've been kind of going on for a while now. Is like, there really is no benefit to playing a battleship other than having the extra hit points. And everybody knows that extra hit points doesn't mean anything when it comes to fire chance or fires
right,
being set on fire. So let's tie all this up into RNG. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had those shots. Everybody has those shots that they absolutely obliterate people. You depth strike people here and there, and you do all these other things. I think that they are trying to get away from those depth strikes, and this is their way of providing a little bit of survivability for the cruisers. Which, granted, maybe they do need a little bit of survivability, but right now it seems hard as shit to kill them. I mean, I still can kill them, but it takes way too many shots, or to my liking. I end up taking another 30, 40,000 damage worth of just pure fires, waiting on those, 3 shots a minute and a half that I'm fighting this guy.
Yeah, to do 7,500 with 5 overpens, and it's great.
30,
Ugh.
40,000 damage on a Zao, or a Buffalo, however much hit points they have. I think that there's a big disparity. Now I'm not just sitting there saying that RNG is in the favor of the cruisers, because in my estimation that RNG favors the weaker boat majority of the time. What do you guys think?
Um, it can. I think like if like say bad positioning, just take Omaha for example. It gets in bad position, it's going to get obliterated. Go up higher in the tier. Take a Smolensk, he can be in bad positioning and full broadside, and it's funny because you'll either knock the shit out of it, but it's like 1 out of 10, and you'll dev strike it, or you do 3 overpens and 1,200 damage or 2,500 damage, and it's like, wait, what? That was like a perfect shot.
Yeah.
Well, he just sits there and goes, bam, 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 and can get away with nothing. Like the risk reward is so much reward for everything else, and I get it that the battleship has more hit points, and it can take that damage, and if you're good enough, you can turn away and go dark or whatever, another positioning type situation. But it's there's no reward really anymore, like how there used to be, um, with knocking the shit out of someone, and you can still go in and tank and do your job and get in closer, instead of staying back, 16 to 18 kilometers and not really helping your team. Um, and so, whatever, here or there. I guess I'm a battleship crybaby or something, but
Well, I mean,
it's definitely different.
I'd like to not bring it down to that portion of it, because when you have a complaint about something and it's a legit complaint, the worst thing that people can do is just dump that answer on you. Oh, you're just a battleship crybaby. Well, you're not looking at the big picture. You're only looking at it one side. Now, I've been on the other side. Let's talk about the cruisers. Let's talk about the cruiser side of it. I've been on the cruiser side of RNG, where I get absolutely obliterated, sitting flat broadside on things, and I get one shot. Why is it such a problem for me to get those shots going back at them? I mean, playing in a Zao, I get flat broadside and I get punished and I get knocked off the board. I tell you how many times I've done it.
Yep.
And that's my mistake, and I expect to be punished for it. But when they're flat broadside and I get my shots out there that look like they're going right into the citadels, well, I might get one, but they definitely don't get punished as hard as I have been getting punished. So I think that RNG on both ends has been has shifted. It has shifted majorly in a bad. I think it's a bad location, because let's be fair. The cruisers at tier 10 are the strongest thing at tier 10. Period. I mean, there's
Oh yeah.
nothing but a cruiser. If you're sitting at 15 kilometers away, Zhao, Hindenburg, Henry, even with this nerf that the Henry got, which whatever, and the Venzia, those are the three best cruisers in the game.
Oh, Venezia, 10K, wait 13 seconds. 10K, wait 13 seconds. 10K, wait and like it never ends, and it's like, oh, well, it's just the SAP, blah blah blah, and it's like, damn, it is really easy to farm damage with that ship.
Yeah,
And that thing is so stupid, dude. It's so fucking hard to hit. And I
yeah, it
hate
turns really
shooting
well.
at it. I don't even shoot at it anymore unless it's like really close and I know that I'm gonna hit it good and make it worth my while. But if it's past 13, I don't even look at it. And
Yeah,
if you do hit it, it's overpen. So
we had a
another thing I was thinking of was look at this last ranked sprint. What did you do, and what did I do?
oh, what
Took
did you do?
I took the hipper.
Oh,
I lost.
I
I
took the
lost four
Eugene.
times.
I took the
Yeah. Or
Eugene. Yeah,
yeah, sorry. I took the Yoigan and I lost 4 times. And that was it. And all I did was I shit on every DD out there.
yeah.
That was too easy.
Shit on every
And
battleship.
then shit on every battleship. And
The only
you know,
battleships I
like,
had problems with was the secondary boats that would turn around and kite me. Those are the only
yep,
problems that I had was the guys that turned around and
yep,
kited me out. I had a 60% win rate the first time, and then on my second account I had 82% win rate
yep.
to finish.
So there is no way on whether it's arcade or simulation or realism or whatever that close to pretty much any battleship in the game. There's no way in God's green earth that a cruiser would last like that in just a slug match
With a battleship with
with a
15,
battleship.
even 15-inch guns. I mean, like you got 15-inch guns on the Tirpitz, the Bismarck, and the Richelieu is 15-inch guns. The Roma is 15-inch guns. Then you got 410s, and then you got 406s, right? So it's the American and the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
American and Japanese, and whatever the Russians are, I think they're 16-inch guns as well. On the Vladi Divac, those things absolutely dominated the bows of the Hippers and the Eugenes. They can overmatch it, but at 15 inches, you just hit that nose and you just go straight on in, and you
Yep.
don't have to worry about it. Now, uh, continuing on the RNG portion of this podcast here, let's talk about bow end cruisers. All right, bow end cruisers.
Okay.
I shot a bow end shot last night. 457 millimeter guns on the Georgia.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
457s, and I got a bow in bounce off of a Donskoy. Or no, it wasn't even Don. It was a Chappie. So it's even worse.
Yep,
Bow
it
in,
was a Chappie.
bow on, bounce off of a Chappie with 457s. I think some of the bouncing mechanics are fucked in this game too. I've had bounces on Baltimore's with 15-inch guns from 3 fucking kilometers that I bounced 11 shots on. I have that recorded, and it's out on YouTube, or it's on my clips or something. So I think that the bounce mechanics are a little bullshit too. I think that cruisers, in their lifespan, the cruiser main players have complained so much. Why am I getting? Well, you're sitting there. You're sitting dead still. My dispersion is terrible on the dead still. Have you noticed that too? I mean, that's another RNG thing where
Yep.
they're moving very slightly, and you absolutely have a beautiful shot on them, and then when they stop and they go dead still, my dispersion is so trash on them, and it just sprays around them 90% of the time. It's very frustrating. But let's talk 457s. How big is 457s? Almost 8-inch guns, right? Or 18-inch guns. 460s, I believe, are the Yamato 18-inch and change guns.
Yep.
457s are about that size. Why am I bouncing stuff off of this armor scheme? It doesn't make any goddamn sense to me of why we're bouncing that many shells off of cruisers that should be full pins, should be detonations, or should be detonated shells inside for citadels or even full pins.
It's true. That is true. I mean, Yamato can do it to battleships all day long, but for some fucking reason,
That's right.
cruiser, no.
You know what's funny is that I can sit there in a Yamato and I can shoot another Yamato straight up bow in, and I'm not talking about hitting him in the cheek, but you can still get 10, 11,000 damage. But you
Yeah,
shoot on
the wall pin.
you shoot on a Demonis that's what, 32 millimeters of armor plating or whatever, or 50 millimeters of armor plating. You're going to tell me that 50 millimeters of armor plating is going to bounce an 18-inch shell, which is literally bigger than a car. That's going to bounce that. Okay, buddy. Okay. Right. So, realism works one way. Realism works completely and utterly in one direction on this game, and I find it realism combined with RNG to make it a very frustrating game to play currently. Still fun. Don't get me wrong. It's still fun, but it's very
Still
frustrating.
playing it after 4.5 years. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating though.
And I don't know, what do we do to fix it? What do we do to fix it, guys? Do we petition Wargaming to take out some of the realism, to get it back to where battleships are the end all be all of these things, of these games, like they should have been, or like they were at the beginning of the onset of the game, to where, yeah, battleships are pretty badass, but you can still do a lot of damage versus cruisers, and the cruisers can still do a shitload of damage to you with their fires, and that's what they're supposed to be, but you got to make it a little bit easier for the battleships to put these guys down, or reward the battleship players to putting these guys down.
Yeah, I just think they need to fix that damn overpin mechanic, and for the shell to arm or whatever, because now you can overpin a citadel, and it's
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, um, why? And that's the positioning thing. That's you caught the guy out in a mistake. He should be punished if you make a good shot. You know,
Right.
absolutely should be. I should be punished. He should be punished if you're broadside anything to a battleship. That's the whole point of having them big ass fucking guns. That fire every 30 seconds, um and you have to wait and you have to plan your shots and you have to position, and it's like you can't damage spudge anymore with just the rapid fire shittery of he fucking hell.
Hmm.
You can't really do it anymore, and um so I think if they fix that, and and them fuckers that like to sit behind the island, and maybe they're a little bit too far back, and you put up the spotter plane, and you can knock the shit out of them too. Like I used to be able to in my Montana all the time.
Oh
I
yeah.
was really good at it, and now it doesn't really do that anymore. And it's like, it's
So
just,
many
it's,
overpins.
yep.
I think they've made it now. Now this is obviously a hotly debated topic, or a
Oh
topic
yeah,
that
it is.
the majority of the cruiser players are going to sit there and say, "Well, I deserve to do this." It was like, "Well, I'm a battleship. I am your natural predator. I am your natural enemy is the battleship in this world." Right? Battleships over cruisers, over destroyers, over battleships. I don't feel like the battleships have any. I don't feel like they're doing enough. I don't feel like they're doing enough to. They're doing a shitload of damage, but are they getting it from cruisers? 90% of the damage that I've been getting have been coming from other battleships. Maybe not that much, but you get the point. I'm getting more damage and more consistent damage versus battleships than I am versus cruisers, which is my natural prey as a battleship player. So
Yep.
I think that they need to do something to shift the tide back from cruisers being the top of the board to the battleships being the top of the board. And I don't care about what the numbers say. Well, the numbers say this is averaging damage. This is all the average damage from the battleships. This is average damage from the fucking cruisers. I don't care. When I shoot at that cruiser and I get a broadside shot and it's a good fucking shot, I don't care where it's from. I need to stop overpinning citadels. Not to mention those shots that disappear, or you're seeing these shots that are next to each other going into their boat at the same time that don't register. I've seen a lot of that more often than not. I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of
What is up
shells.
with that?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of shots where you're getting fired upon from a Smolensk or from a very high rate of fire, and you can't even see the shells coming at you. And it's been happening for the last year and a half. Now it's even more prevalent now because the more shells that you have out there, the more chances that those shells don't render. And how am I supposed to turn, and how am I supposed to dodge if I can't see the shells coming in? This is where the tracers come in. And what the fuck? Why can I not get a goddamn color change on my tracers? Personally, like in game, without having to go to a mod. That's another story, though. All right, what do you guys think out there? Put it in the chat here. We'll answer those Q&A session later on in the game, or later on in the show. I am Sir Venom IK. This is my man Fitz in your aft, and we are doing episode 44 of the Crush Your Bow podcast. If you guys have any other comments, questions, or concerns about anything that we talked about, like I said, put it in the chat or put it in the comment section below, or if you guys are over on YouTube. And I'd like to get everybody's opinion. Now, I don't want those answers. Oh, well, you're just a battleship crybaby, because that solves no problem, and you're not contributing to the conversation that we're having. You're just being a dick. So don't be a dick. Contribute. I want your guys' opinions on this as well. All right, so now let's move into RNG when it comes to destroyers. All right, so RNG when it comes to destroyers. Now, what is this going to entail? Obviously, we're going to talk about CV versus destroyer interaction, which is atrocious currently, and
Ugh.
they have from my understanding of this is they have no chance. They have no chance of being changed anytime soon. No chance of being changed anytime soon. Everybody out there knows Everybody in out there, you and I both know, and everybody else out there knows that the rocket interaction with destroyers is atrocious. It is way too strong, right? I'm talking Tiny
Yep.
Tims. Now I've been hit with, I've been hit with Kaga rockets, and I've been hit with Shokaku rockets, and I've been hit with Hack rockets. I'm not talking about those particular rockets. I'm talking about Tiny Tims specifically. To get hit from the Enterprise that has ridiculous amount of planes, or the Midway with those Tiny Tims, it's fucking excruciating to get chunked for well over half of your hit points. This is the same comment that the Destroyers players were having way back in the day when Battleship AP would come in there and you'd hit one shell and get 8,000 damage on them. It's the same concept, but they don't seem it to be a fucking thing. The battleship or the SAP from the Italians, same fucking concept. They are doing way too much damage to destroyers. The rocket planes are doing way too much damage to destroyers. And so if the rocket planes and the SAP is doing that much damage to destroyers, why the fuck can a battleship not do that much damage to destroyers again? Roll it back, because you obviously, Wargaming, do not give two fucks about the destroyer play. Because if that's the way, you bitch and moan that it's okay here for the battleships to get nerfed, but now you introduce SAP, which we as testers and the super testers and everybody told them that it was too strong versus DDs. We told them that rocket planes were too strong versus DDs during the testing phase, but they don't give a shit. Now maybe if they do, they're making a funny way of showing it by not fixing it for such a long time. It's been a full year
Right.
almost now since the CV rework has come out, and this has been the one constant thing, other than AA not being good enough. This has been the one constant complaint and gripe from everybody in the community that I've seen, is that the rocket planes do too much damage to destroyers, and it's been a year and they haven't done anything about it. Thoughts?
Because like you play a D. Let's just say there's no CVs, right? We'll pretend, and you can't just willy nilly into the cap. Now there's DDs with hydro. There's who knows what. There's DDs, cruisers, and battleships with radar. So you got to play smart. Before you could sit at the edge of the cap. You can be relatively safe, unless the other guy, like he goes in slowly and he has better spotting and then spots you and you're like shit. Um, and then you can run or smoke or whatever. There's a few things that you used to be able to do. Now you kind of can't.
Yeah.
So then you add CVs to it, and so now it's like, do you play your DD and stay with your cruisers who are quicker,
Right.
or they accelerate faster, and they have usually a better top speed than the battleships? Do you stay with them, get some
Generally.
AA, and you can't really do your job and spot, or do you go up forward and try to spot, and you see the planes coming and you're still like 5-10 kilometers away from the cap, and you got to waste your smoke to live, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, well, there's smoke there's something there, so now everyone's guns, or the other DD is going to put torpedoes into that smoke, and whatever. Or the CV can be a dick and leave those planes up above the smoke for a while, and you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
So
And
it's just
I mean, it's not
bullshit. Them
even just
fucking
sitting there,
rockets, I
but
hate them.
if you're not even just sitting there. But if there's nothing else around you, your AA can do a little bit of things here and there, especially depending on what boat you're in. But if you're sitting in your smoke,
Right.
guess what? You're only spotting these planes now at 1 kilometer. So now
Yep.
you're into a section of where your AA has a zero zone, a null zone, where you cannot do directly above the destroyer and directly above boats. There is a zero AA going out. Zero. Period. There's
Yep.
nothing that you can do at point 0 kilometers. If you're right above that destroyer, there is no AA. So all he has to do is basically slow the fuck down, wait for your smoke to roll away, or go fight somebody else. I have taken to seeing more and more double CV games at tier 8.
Ugh, yep.
We saw a lot of them. I say a lot of them. We've seen consistent one CV games, very frustrating to play against. But when you put two tier 8 CVs into a game, I think it becomes almost unplayable. And I'll be honest with you, all I want to do is go back to the port. I don't care if I'm in a battleship or cruiser or a destroyer. I just want to go back to port. I don't even want to play that game. And I know there's other sentiments out there from some of the people that have said the same thing, and some other CCs have said the same thing. It's like, I just really don't want to play that game. I mean, it's a very slow-paced game, and they have too much control of the game and too much control of the pace of the game. And I think that you cannot give one class cannot dictate what everybody else does. I'm sorry, I just can't do that, because battleships don't dictate dick. Cruisers don't dictate anything. They dictate where the battleships are going to be, but that's fine, because the battleships can retaliate. The destroyers really don't dictate anything till late game. You know, I'm going to dictate where I'm going to go as a destroyer. I'm going to go cap this. I'm going to go cap that. But half the time, you go to the middle of the board. Nobody fucking plays the middle of the board.
Right.
You know, and I've said this on many occasions. If you look at the way that they've changed north and the way that those caps work, you have 2 caps on the left side. If we'll just say if we're spotting bottom here, 2 caps on the left side, 1 cap in the middle, and 1 cap out there on the right hand side. How many games have you guys played on that where nobody plays the middle until late game? Which is where I generally play
all the
early
time.
game. I see it all the time, and that's free points. And people are so worried about getting their damage that they give up portions of this game, and they give up all of these free points that they could be getting because they refuse to go play the middle of the board. Right. So what is that? How does that do with CVs? It doesn't. But you get the point. People are dictating. You're dictating now, me as a destroyer player, I am forced to go over here and play this particular way, or I'm going to get myself killed. I'm sorry, but that's not fair. I want to play this game the way I want to play this game, and you guys have continually dictated to us that we need to have multiple choices on what we need to do, a la the Battleship AP nerf, IFHE coming in, IFHE getting nerfed. There's a lot of things that Wargaming has said we want you guys to have to choose one way or another. Now I'm not being able to give that choice. I'm not given that choice anymore. It is now out of my hands to where I have to play. I have to play back here with this. A, slowing the game down. B, making the game further apart from each other, which is counter to what they want to happen. So CVs are a little bit strong. When you're playing CVs, I don't know. Who gives a shit? It's a CV. I think that,
Right.
that's my attitude. Playing against CVs are terrible. Playing as a CV is terrible. I don't like it. It's boring. And I just think it's a bad mechanic in the game currently. Is it the CV itself, or is it the AA itself? So this is the confusion. What do you guys think? I think, again, tying it back to RNG, it has something to do with AA. I know that there's less AA now that is tied into RNG than it was before, because before it was completely RNG. It was a dice roll. You either hit them if you didn't. And if you did hit them, then you killed them. If you didn't, then you didn't. You didn't kill them. Now it's a consistent pace. Well, AA button doesn't feel like it does anything. Setting up a full AA spec boat doesn't really feel like it's doing anything without an AA button. So I think a lot of people have taken their AA buttons off of their typically AA powerful ships. Atlanta's been nutted to the ground. Flint's been nutted to the ground. Texas is a joke. You know, I mean, there's a lot of these AA spec boats that were back in the day that just don't perform, that just are a waste of your time.
Yeah, I think I only have. I mean, I have over 200 chips. And I think I know it's under 10. I want to say it's like 5 or 6 that I have the AA button on them still. You know, and 3 of them are DDs.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
Well, this new Holland is a pretty nasty DD, pretty nasty AA. Friesland is another one. What's your other one? What's your third one?
Ognovoy. Yep. Ognivoy.
I mean, like Grazovoy used to be a really nasty AA boat, and it's not as good as it used to be. It's
Yeah,
not anywhere
I don't
near
have
as
the
good as it used to
tier.
be.
I don't have the Udaloy or the Graz yet. So I mean, when I get them, I'll try them out. I've been working on those. The Ognivoy is actually a really fun boat to play. So
Yeah, it's pretty good.
it's solid. It's a solid boat. I have no qualms getting up tiered, and I do really good when it's top tier. So we'll see. So I couldn't tell you from experience on that, but it does fine.
Yeah.
Riesling is just stupid. I it's pretty easy to get 40 planes shot down. It's like, okay, you're an idiot. Good job.
Yeah. Uh, I think that I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we can go on and on about this, and that's not what this podcast is about today. I don't want to just sit there and bitch because Wargaming has put out a game, has put out a world that I have enjoyed for the last almost 4 years now, and I
Oh
know
yeah,
you've enjoyed
definitely.
it for a long time, and I don't want to just sit here and just shit on them for the whole hour and a half because they have done a lot of really good things, and for me personally, financially, and just doing the show and meeting people and keeping me out of bad mental states. Wargaming has done a lot for me, and I do appreciate Wargaming for them and what they have done for me
Definitely.
personally. So I don't want you guys to just
Me
think
too.
that I'm bitching and moaning, but as a community contributor, I feel obligated to point out things that I find that are a little bit under par, I guess, for lack of a better word, that aren't kosher for some of you guys out there. I mean, it just there's a lot of things that I don't appreciate in the game. There's a lot of things that have changed in the game that change the way that you view things, right? And I said it last night, Fitz, and I'm going to say it here on the podcast for everybody to hear. And we're going to put it out on YouTube, youtube.com/SurveyMK. We're going to put it out on the YouTube. I played the GK last night, and I was very happy with my play. I was very happy with the consistency of the shots that I was getting. I was very happy with some of those some of the shots that I would not normally take previously. Was very happy with it because they made that buff to the guns. Now, as for the rest of them, I really didn't see much of a difference. I really didn't see much of a difference in the way that the guns acted on the Gneisenau at 7, the Bismarck, or the Freddy. I did not see any of that, and they were very hard grinds for me. But the Tier 10 is fantastic. I really enjoy it. I actually had a good time playing it, which is very rare. And I have not had enjoyed that boat in a very long time. So
Yeah.
GK is
No,
good.
it's a great boat now. I love playing it. I enjoy it playing probably more than my Montana now because it has a ton of utility. It's not just a dumb, stupid damage
Now, I wouldn't go
sponge and
that
I
far.
got secondaries, but
Yeah.
um,
And I
but
played
it
Legendary Mod. I played Legendary Mod on it, so I shortened up my range a little bit, but I was getting more consistent shots at that 12 kilometers or 15-kilometer range,
right,
to the tune of actually knocking the shit out of some people. I'm hitting cruisers and 420s. They're not the biggest guns at tier 10, but they're not the worst guns at tier 10. I think there's I think the what is it? The Bourgogne's got 15-inch guns, so those are probably the
yep,
smallest guns for battleships there at that tier. And I think everything else is above that.
yep,
So 420s, it's still over 16 inches. It does really well. And I was able to actually punish people that were broadside. And it was really weird because those same shots I don't feel like I could make in the Yamato. Like I could probably make them, but I wouldn't get the same results with with the 460s. Does that make sense?
yeah. No, you were a fucking absolute beast. Towards the end of the game, you still had some health to work with,
I had a
and
lot
you
of health.
were you were wiggling and moving your ship into position and knocking the shit out of things, and so I was dead. I
Yeah,
was just watching. It's fun to watch,
yeah.
and so that that buff is what makes that ship now, and so
I think that buff went a long way to helping that particular boat. I don't think it helped any of the other
oh
boats.
yeah,
I don't think it. I like playing back through it now. Now, guys, I want y'all to give you a little reference on this and why are you saying it didn't help the other boats? I had one of the guys was talking trash, and I said yeah whatever, and so he paid me a substantial amount of money to reset my German battleship line and play through it. Well, as soon as I reset it, I got up to the Baron at tier 6. I played through every one of them, tier 3, 4, 5, and 6. And when I got to 6, we found out that there was going to be a buff. And so I stopped playing until the buff came out. And I legit sat there. I was like, I am not going to play these until the buff goes through, because I remember how I played them before the first time through. I'm going to see if it makes a difference. And I did not see a difference on the Ganaizanu. I did not see a difference on the Bismarck, and I did not see a difference on the Freddy. But I do see the difference on the GK. So out of that buff, one boat I found that it was actually effective on.
Well, that's and I'm not arguing with you. I
No.
agree with you a fair amount on this. Is the number of barrels?
Yeah.
8.
12 versus 8.
It's 8 versus
Yeah.
12. And so I have noticed that the shells are more accurate. That's why when we do a fuck off game and you do a Massachusetts, and I pick the Turpits because I'm hitting things with it now, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty happy about it.
Right.
So I've noticed that it's gotten better, but it's the number. It's 8.
Well, yeah.
And
Well,
so
when you go 8
have
versus 12, you have a little bit more room for margin for error with 12 guns, because it covers a little bit more zone. When you have 8 guns or
yeah,
6 guns, it's going to
yep,
not cause a whole lot.
yep,
You just have this big area that eight guns have to go into, as opposed to 12 guns, because you can fill extra spots.
yep,
So yeah, I totally agree.
yeah.
I think eight gun boats or double gun turret battleships are terrible. I have such a hard time being consistent with them. Amagi's included in this. The Nagato's included in that. Some of the lower tiers, it doesn't matter because you're not playing them for very many times. But I still have good memories playing through some of these lower tiers. But when I got to the higher tiers, man, the double guns just aren't enough. They're just not good enough in my estimation of the game, or at least my experience of the game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Bismarck or Turpits,
And you know what
they'd
that
be
ties
a
into?
beast if they had 9 guns, but
That ties into.
Gneisenau would be so much better if it had 8 guns, but it has 6, so it's lame,
Well, let's talk
so
about the big monster that's coming out. I know we talked just a little bit about it yesterday. It's called the Yashima. It is a 510 millimeter Yamato with 6 guns
right.
on 3 turrets. So you got double turrets again. They have already said that it's going to have bad dispersion. They've already said it's going to be questionable dispersion. My question is why in the fuck would anybody want this thing? Number one, 460s already have a hard time enough pinning cruisers. And that's their fucking job, people, to pin the cruisers and to knock the cruisers out of the game, knock their dicks in the dirt or whatever. These things already have enough problems pinning these things. Why do we need more guns? Why do we need bigger guns? We don't need bigger guns because, number one, you're going to hit maybe 1 out of these 6 shots. It reminds me of the Georgia. Unless they have Georgia accuracy, which is getting better the more I play it, the better it gets. Surprise! It hurt my heart to say that because I'm not a big
I was
fan of
actually
the Georgia.
surprised you say
Yeah,
that.
but the Georgia, for what it is, for having only 6 guns, is relatively okay. I mean, when it comes to accuracy, if you're going to have things worse than that, and you're going to have things set up the same way as the Gneisenau, but with that accuracy, it's going to be a fucking pain in the ass to play. Plus, you have 35-second reloads. You have Yamato-style ammo, or Yamato-style hit points. This thing is just going to sit off in the back and snipe. That's everybody's going to play this. Nobody's going to want to get forward. Nobody's going to want to do that. I don't understand why this boat is a thing.
Is there any numbers on the secondaries
No.
that you know of?
No, that all the.
'Cause I'm kind of
there's all
wondering
initial
if they're.
things.
I mean, if they're going to give it bad dispersion, I mean, they better give it.
This isn't even
good secondary.
into super testing yet. The CCs don't have it yet. This is just the initial. Hey
Oh,
guys, we're putting this
gotcha.
boat together type thing. There's no numbers on it other than the 510s, 35-second reloads, and I think there was a health thing. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. And honestly, I wasn't going to talk about it today, but we started talking about double guns, and I was like, well, let's throw this in there too. So that's why we're talking about it at all. 457s bouncing off of bow end cruisers kind of frustrates me. 16-inch guns bouncing off of bow end cruisers frustrate the shit out of me. 15-inch guns are the bane of my existence, and I hate every one of them except for the French. They drive the shit. They drive me crazy when I bounce shells off of things. If the 510s can bow pin everything, because the Yamato is supposed to bow pin everything, right? It's supposed to lull pin just through
Supposed to.
everything, right? But I still bounce on 50 millimeters. Sorry, that's not right. I still bounce on 32 millimeters, and I still bounce off of fucking fuck. I've bounced off broadside things before in this boat. So who knows? I mean, there is no consistency with any battleship in this game. So why 510s? I mean, bigger guns the better. Everybody likes to see the bigger guns. Whether how is it going to interact with everything else, we'll have to wait and see. So it's going to overpin everything like a motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I don't know. This
I honestly don't think that there's enough armor out there for cruisers for this boat to be effective on cruisers.
it's true. The way it is now,
Unless you hit it
um,
straight in the nose and it goes all the way through the back of the fucking boat, and then you still probably only get a fucking 1,000 damage
right,
for overpin. Overpin
right.
through the entire ship and still only 1,000. But anyway, there you go. That's something that we can look forward to that we will hotly debate later on. And I'm sure when it does come into super testing and when it does come into community contributor testing, that I will be the first one out there telling you how bad it is with its accuracy, because I want a consistent battleship and something that you can count on. I don't want something that, hey, this is big and nice when it actually hits, but majority of the time you're going to miss. Sorry, I don't like it.
Yep.
So there you go. What do you do? Where do you go? Let's move on here. Let's go ahead and start in. Anything else you want to talk about there, real quick, with the 510s and the Yashima and stuff, or anything that you want
I
that we didn't touch on that we want to talk about RNG wise or anything like that in your experience in this game?
No, I think RNG. I think there's a pretty fair amount of people that agree with us. It is a little ridiculous, and 510s. I mean, man, that's big. I mean, is it actually needed? Do
I don't
we
know.
need that? Um, and I know, from listening to
20-inch guns,
or
man.
looking at the dev blog or listening to to other people and stuff like that. There's still a lot of ships and a lot of things that are going to be happening for a long time. So it's not like I feel like they're running out of things to put out for content. Because I don't believe that. And so
Well, what do we consider
you know,
content? I mean, it all depends on what your definition of content is, because putting out another ship,
well,
that is a portion of content. Putting out a new line is another portion of content. Adding new game modes is a new content.
right.
Adding new campaigns is new content. I
Yeah,
don't give too much about the scenarios, because once you get 5 stars, it doesn't matter because you're never going to play them again.
pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, you do every once in a while, but just for shiggles, you don't go out of your way to play them. So
Right, but I was thinking of ships, lines, single ships, whatever. I mean, we just got three of them essentially, and uh, and it's not like there's one rehash, the Baiji, but uh,
this time around, oh, what are you talking about? They're all three
damn, that's a good
rehashes.
looking ship,
They're all three rehashes.
Yeah, yeah, you kind of got a point.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
I
all
don't know.
three
I
rehashes.
haven't played the Wukong, so
Well, I mean, it
word
is
for it.
direct. It is a direct clone of the Charles Martel.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
except for it has
okay,
deep water peeds that go 12, and it does not have a speed boost. But the
okay.
same concept with the guns, same shells. It's very floaty French shells. It's a fire starter. It's a good boat. It's a good boat.
Oh, I'll be able to know in about 29 days now. So,
29 days. You'll get it in 2 days, man.
Oh, I thought you said I got in
The
30.
30th, January
Oh, the
30th.
30th.
Yeah,
Okay, I heard you wrong.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Um, so well, you can rehash, sure, the rehashes, but damn, they look good.
Oh,
And
they look
then
great.
and they're they're different. Um, so but we still have entire ship lines that are going to come that are going to be coming out,
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
we're
So
seeing.
I'm still pretty confident that I'll be able to play those and have fun and continue to enjoy the game. And and make up new swear words while I play it, and in other times, and just say, man, I had a really good day,
Yeah,
and that was really fun, and this is why I play the game, and
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
It's
And
been a long
so,
time since I've had any reason to say that. This is why I play the game. Um, all right, so let's talk about rehashes real quick, and then we'll jump into the Lunar New Year, and we'll start talking about these boats that are new.
okay.
Rehash boats. You have the Bourgogne, whatever it's called, the French steel boat. It's a rehash of the Allstate. You have
Mm-hmm.
the John Bart, which is a rehash of the Richelieu. You know, I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts is a rehash of the Alabama. The Georgia is a rehash of the Iowa, and I mean, they rehash everything in this game. Copy pasta. You see it throughout a lot of lines. Pan Asian DDs, they're just rehashed Americans or whatever they are. Or
Right.
whatever they attribute it to. I think the 6 is a rehash of the Jenny at Tier 6 Russians. So there's a lot of rehashes in this game that where one country buys it or whatever. I mean, just look at the goddamn the Boise and the Wavy de Julia. It's legit the same boat, just a different flag.
Yep.
So
Different flag.
so are rehashing enough to continue people playing the game? It adds another element to the game. I mean, it adds another element to the game. Well, the Lazo. What the fuck is a Lazo? I mean, it's a tiered down version of the Kutuzov. The Arian is a deep
Mm-hmm.
water peed no smoke Kutuzov. So they've rehashed a lot of shit in this game. To its goodness or to its detriment, do you think that it's detrimental that they rehash this stuff, or do you think it's a positive?
No, because they change it enough. Like the Arian, fuck, that ship's annoying. And it's got like 78 spotter planes that you can get, and um, and it's a different play style. You gotta be moving. You can't sit in the smoke and be a Kutuzov. I love my Kutuzov, and I'm glad I didn't sell it. So
I bet you the
they
people
they
that
give
did are
you
kicking
enough.
themselves.
I know, right? I laugh at them too.
Yeah.
Ha ha. And so um they change they make it almost unique. They change it up enough to where I mean, people buy them and people still play them. Yeah, I see Arians all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Fuck, I see the shit out of Georgia's,
Oh,
see the
absolutely.
shit out of Massachusetts. I don't see too much Alabama's. Um, I wonder why, but and um, so as long as they keep doing that and they give you something, like this BJ laser beam,
This thing's well.
Zumo,
We'll talk about it in a second.
and so it kind of plays the same, but your shots are going to go where you want them to go, and if you miss, it's because you missed. It's
Yeah.
not so much from the RNG. And
How much?
the best name in the game ever, I can't believe they released something called a silly wing, oh sorry, silly wingy. um you know uh I think if they gave it better guns, it would actually be a great ship,
Yeah.
but it's meh, and it's
Well,
like I'm not enjoying it.
that's one of those things, man. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these pan European DDs that we're playing right now, which you don't have them, so
Yeah,
I didn't really
yeah.
talk too much about them this time. We'll do it next week with Lord Zath, but I like them. I like the torpedo spam, but my God, their guns are so shit. They're 120 millimeters, and they're just terrible. Now tier 6 is good because you get 6 guns and it's fine. As you start getting the double guns at 8, from what I'm seeing, because I'm only seeing 6, 8, and 10, and then both of the tier 10s. But I just don't think that double gun turrets like this, when you only have 2 of them, what makes it the Friesland different than the than these other guns? I mean, maybe they fire faster or whatever, but the Friesland I don't have any problem with. But you go to uh, the same side of the other one, the guns just feel like crap. You're getting gunned down by everything. It almost feels like you're playing a Pan Asian DD where you're just outmatched at every opportunity that you have. Uh, and it sucks because you have to rely on your guns in the Pan Asians, and it just not very enjoyable to play. But for the Pan Europeans, you're relying on these torpedoes, the 15 kilometer, 86 knot torpedoes that hit like a low yang, which is barely any. 10,700 max damage at tier 10. So, what can you do? I wish the guns were better. I just wish they would. Wish they would change the mechanic on the pin or whatever. It doesn't matter if you fire HE or AP. You don't want to put IFHE on there because what are you going to do? You're not going to be gunboating these things. You're going to be long-range torpedo spamming these things, right? That's the play style. But if you do have to go push into a cap, or if you do have to go defend an area, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do it to defend against a kebab. Nobody can defend against a kebab. I mean, you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to outgun a daring. You're not going to be able to outgun anything. So it makes it really really hard for me to accept these. Mainly looking for rank season or clan battle seasons. It's going to be terrible. They're going to be terrible boats for rank season because you just don't
Right.
have the guns to defend yourself. As for the Benham, I remember one community contributor out there saying, "Oh, Benham was great for rank season." I called him an idiot because no way that those 4 guns are going to be able to defend yourself. Because I don't care if you have torps, I can dodge your peds. But guess what? You can't dodge shells very well. So and I absolutely pooped on every Benham that I saw, every one of them.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible boat
Yep.
for ranked season. These things are going to be terrible for ranked, but they're going to be monsters in randoms. These are random champions right here. Random game champions.
Makes sense. And that's where the majority of the player base is. So
And that's fine.
spreadsheet says they're going to have fun. Definitely. As much fun as I have in my Bourgogne in ranked, randoms, I won't play it in ranked.
No, I won't
Not
play in
happening.
ranked. You'll see people play them in ranked, and you'll have to dodge their peds, and you should be all right dodging their peds, knowing if you know where they are, and then you can dodge their peds. Period. I don't care if they're fast or not. You can dodge them. With the new target acquisition buff making 1.8 kilometers minimum,
Right.
guys, minimum visibility on torpedoes. The shorter range torpedo visibility, like the deep water Pete's, you throw it out the window. You throw them out the window. The 1.8 kilometers is a long way. Now, is it going to make a big difference for battleships? Probably not. Probably not. But it's going to make a difference for cruisers. Sometimes cruisers don't take sometimes cruisers don't take concealment, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So either way.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump on in. Let's jump on into our next topic here. The Lunar New Year's arrived. It's the year of the rat, I believe is what it was, or maybe it's the pig. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I think it's the pig.
Year of the boar, year of the pig. Either way,
Boar,
y'all let me
sure.
know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Either way, you dirty rat. It's the year of the rat. Bajie and the Silly Wang and the Wukong are the new ships for this. You guys can get those from the Lunar New Year boxes. Now, we already know kind of what we're going to say about the Bajie, so we're going to stop and we're going to put that one last. So let's start out with the Silly Wangy.
Best name ever.
I'm a rooster as well. The Silly Wangy is an Ogdenvoy-esque, which is a tier 8 Pan-Asian DD with 2 guns at 130s on 2 turrets, and it has 10-kilometer torpedoes that are deep water Peds. Really kind of a nothing boat, a really not impressive boat in any aspect of the game. Not impressive at all. Not too keen on this one, except for one unique thing that this has is a 5.5 kilometer hydro, not unlike the Low Yang. So this is very Low Yang-esque Pan-Asian DD. When the Low Yang is out there and it has its hydro ready to go, the Low Yang is one of the strongest boats in the game. especially at tier 8. All right, we're not going to talk about when it's up tiered, but at tier 8, it is one of the strongest boats out there. When it's down, it's one of the worst boats. It's one of the worst boats. I kind of feel the same way. The only difference between this one and I say the Low Yang is the fact that the torpedoes are deep water. They hit a little bit harder than the Low Yang stuff. Right? So the Low Yang torpedoes at the 9.2s of the Benson, because it is a Benson clone. Talk about rehash. It is a Benson clone, 4-gun Benson. Those torpedoes hit like fucking noodles. They're very, very light on the damage. These are deep water Petes, so they will hit harder on battleships than the Low Yang will. As for the guns, 130s, they generally should be shooting better than the Low Yang.
Should.
Yeah, should. But the damage I just don't feel like the damage is enough. So overall, is this a good boat? It's okay when you have your hydro up. When your hydro's not up, you become a very short range torpedo boat, 10 kilometers. And overall, it's not bad to play. It's fun to play. What I recommend to people going buying it? Nah, you get the Low Yang. The Low Yang's going to be better overall.
Agreed. And you can torp destroyers with it. So
Yep.
You aren't going to win a gunfight in a silly wing. No way.
Nope.
It ain't going to happen.
Especially
So
when you're going up against Lightnings or Cossacks or the Kiev. You're not going to win that one. You're not going to win against a Benson. I mean, it's very interesting, the concept of this boat, where you're going to have to play it German style. Not going to go in there, not going to do a whole lot of things until you have your hydro up. Once your hydro is there, then you can push in on people, spot them, shoot them, have your team shoot at them with you. You're a very support style boat.
Yep.
As the silly
exactly.
Yep. And overall, I had fun playing it. I had fun playing it during the test after we got them. When we were actually able to play them on stream, I started playing a little bit. I've actually had fun playing the boat, but it's a very specific support style. If you have another DD with you, then go for it. Go roll with that DD. Push in. You guys can roll roughshod over people. It's very fun that way. But that's the Silly Wing. Any questions? What do you think? You had a small chance to play it.
No, I've been trying it out and I've been doing a lot of stupid shit and putting myself in bad. No, it's any ship that's new. I put myself in like the worst situation possible.
Absolutely.
And see how it can handle it, and it can't. Don't do that. Don't be like me. Take my word for it. Go in with another destroyer if possible. And that was the other thing too. Was I think I've played like 5 games in it, and 3 of them I was the only DD. So that was
makes it rough. I mean,
it was pretty rough.
Have you noticed I've noticed this last night, just kind of offhand, is that there is less and less destroyers in the game anymore. Now that's one reason or another. One reason or another. I still have those games, rare games that I have 5 DDs in a game. Very rare though. But for majority of the time, it's 1 to 2 DDs. Period. And I think to the detriment of the game. I think that we need to get more DD players out there. I think you guys need to quit playing these cruisers and go play DDs. But I don't blame people for not playing DDs, because why? Radar still goes way too far. It lasts too long. CVs are still out there at enormous rates of carriers have kind of infested the game. And I say infested because they're not fun to play. They're like goddamn little bugs. So I mean, we're seeing four CV games at tier 8, and just there's no break. I mean, going to a CV game, and you're just like jumping up and down for joy when you don't have a CV game. Now that says a lot to me. That says a lot to me about the way the game is now, and how, what's the word, at how much the CVs out there are actually hated across the community, and how much they're hated across the community, hate playing against them, and Wargaming's not doing anything about it. And like, honestly, they want to get their money's worth out of those CVs. They want to get people playing CVs, but I honestly think that they should stop wanting to get people playing these CVs, because you're pissing off the other 91% of the fucking game, where if you had 8% of the players playing CVs, You're
Yep.
pissing off the other 91% of the community for 8%. I'm sorry, but that's not right. You guys need to rethink your mentality on that one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So
I
moving on.
agree.
Any more comments on the silly wanger? Yeah. Well, do you think it's worth it? Is it worth buying?
How much is it? Because
I,
I didn't buy mine. I got mine in a crate.
you got yours in a
So
crate. Somebody want
yeah.
to pull that up for us and let us know.
I mean, as long as it's not like something god awful, like $50, or I would say, like, for me, it's worth like $35
Think it's worth
if
35?
you want to put.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up over here on the other screen.
Um, I mean, you'd probably sell a lot of them if it was 20, and I don't think it's not worth less than that. But if it's a lot of money, I wouldn't say it's worth
I'd say
getting.
it's worth getting out. I wouldn't go out there and buy it. All right, so let's see. Silly Wangies, $41.20.
No, they need to lower the price. It's not worth that.
It's not worth. You don't
No
think
way.
it's worth $41? That's American. That's
Nope.
U.S. dollars, boys. If you bought it out of the deal, it's $41 plus you get a combat mission for 3 times the experience for 25 battles.
Oh, yay. Cool.
They also have a other package. Let's see what the special package is. $41.20 for a tier 8 DD that's not as good as any of the other tier 8s. $45.20 gets you special offer. Woohoo. It'll get you. There's nothing different. Like you can get. Oh, that's the Wukong. Never mind. That's the Wukong. Silly Wangy Admiral Pack is $78.99. Well, it comes with a 10-point captain, and you'll get some camos, some lunar camos.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, a commemorative flag. Yeah, 3 million credits. Yeah, it's not worth it. I don't think it's worth that much. Maybe you can make a case for the $41 base, but I wouldn't spend those $80 on it, man. We'll just chuck that
Hell
one
no.
right out of the deal. All right. So there you go. That's the silly wangy. Let's move into the Wukong. Now this is a boat that you will be receiving soon. Congratulations on winning the contest last night. Winning
Woohoo!
the giveaway. Wukong is a Tier 8 premium Pan-Asian cruiser, not unlike the Charlie Martel, at $45.20, coming out of the premium shop. Now I'm not saying go over there and buy it. Buy it if you want to. Wukong. I played through this. I did not play it in the testing, but after we got it, it really feels like the fucking Charlie Martel, just a slower version of it. It's got good fire chance. Yeah, that's me saying it's got pretty decent fire chance. Sir Venom is saying it's got pretty
Oh
decent fire.
shit.
I want to
That means it's
repeat
got
this.
great fire chance
Sir
for everyone
Venom
else.
IK is saying that this thing has a pretty decent fire chance. All right, I just want to make sure that y'all got that across here because I don't get fires ever. But I actually did see some fires. It does have the floaty shells like the French cruisers do. And it also has I can't remember if it has a torpedo reloader on it or not. I can't look at it right now because Fitz is on my main screen. But either way, it's deep water PEDs that go 12 kilometers. Whatever. Can be good or not good. And I do think it. You know what? I'm sitting there thinking about it. I think it does have torpedo reloader on it, but 203
Wow.
millimeters on them, they're pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good little boat. I was pretty impressed with this. I mean, I've always liked the Charlie Martel. I think for the French cruiser line, I think 6 is
Oh, that's
good.
the game changer.
Yeah, I think 6
Charlie.
is good. I
Definitely.
didn't like 7 too much. It didn't feel like it was up to par enough. But the Tier 8 was very fantastic. Playing through that, 9 and 10 are great. But if it's like the Charlie Martel, this is a good boat. Is it worth the $45? Absolutely. If you guys can get it for cheaper out of the box, it's fine. But if you're just going to looking for that particular boat in general, $45, it's probably worth the money. It's probably worth the money.
Looking forward to it.
Now, I
Because I
know there's
love
not
the
there's
Charlie.
I know, unfortunately there's not much you could say about it because you haven't played it yet.
Correct.
But I'm pretty impressed. Well, you just relate it to your Charlie Martel. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, I will.
Yeah, definitely gonna hear me bitching and moaning about being on fire later. Definitely. cheaper on the EU from Australia. Yeah, it's $45.20 US. I don't know where they got the 20 cents. Let's make it even 45. It'd be good to go. But anyway, not a point. Not the point. All right, moving on. To one of my favorite ones, which very quickly has become something of a of just what they do with Tier 9 battleships, especially when they're premium. Every Tier 9 battleship premium that's been out there has been fantastic. Starting with the Missouri to
Yes,
the
indeed.
Musashi to the John Bart, any other Tier 9 premium battleships out there. Georgia's, well, I mean, that's questionable. I mean, I'm not
Georgia's
enjoy.
fine.
It's
It's
okay.
fine.
I don't want to say it's shit because I'm having a little bit more fun playing it, and it's a little bit more consistent than I remembered it. And the more I play it, the more fun I'm actually having with it. But either way, it's besides the point. Tier 9 battleships in this game that they've put out that are premium have always been pretty goddamn good. Even going, Missouri, Musashi, John Bart to Georgia. Any others? Any others that I miss? And now the Bajay, which is an Izumo clone. Talking about rehash, which has probably some of the best camo that I've ever seen. Which
Hell yeah.
props to the fucking art department for this. They do a lot of things really well, and that's the maps look amazing. The camos on these boats look amazing. I think it looks fantastic. All right, so Bajay. Now, go ahead. I'm gonna let you take the lead on the Bajay.
So it is what the accuracy on a battleship should be. It shoots fucking lasers. It has great range. Um, it it can take a beating. It's fine. The AA is fine. Um, I just love knocking the shit out of things with it, and it is sexy as hell. And I don't say that about too many ships, but like when I look at it, like I look at the ship when I play it, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, you know. Um, and I don't do that, but that's probably the first ship where I literally spend a lot of my time during the game just looking at it. I was like, man, they did a really good job on this thing, you know. And so, um, there really isn't enough that I can say about it. I've played a few games with it, and so I'm gonna start kind of messing around with different specs and stuff like that. I just kind of did my standard
Standard tank spec.
semi tank,
Yeah.
accuracy thing, whatever. But I haven't done secondaries. I haven't done anything like that.
Secondaries,
So
I believe the secondaries go somewhere around 10.5 or so, which isn't terrible, but
yeah,
really,
that's great. I
yeah,
mean, in its standard, like with its standard, what 7, I think,
I
which
don't
is
remember
pretty good.
offhand. I could
I
look it
think
up,
it's
but
7.
you're on my main screen, like I said. Either way,
Right.
Bajay, my opinion on the Bajay, I really like the Izumo. I really enjoy the Izumo. I never had a problem playing it even before the buffs. Now, we said this earlier in the pre-show, but I think the Izumo, for as many people that bitched and moaned about it, I had no problems playing the Izumo. I got rewarded for
Right.
when I made my shots. There is a typical quintessential Japanese every other game type of feel that's good. I get that in the Nagato, the Amagi, and the Izumo. I get that a lot. But the Bajay stands above that as these things. I have not bitched and moaned about the dispersion that I've gotten when I played this boat. Now, some of the results still has the Izumo shell speed, so you are going to overpin. You are going to overpin quite a bit. So with that
Yep.
shell speed, what I had to do playing the Izumo is to aim just a little bit higher up the side of the boat, so I can get those shells because I would still drop shells short because of the shell speed being so fast. Don't ask me why it works, but it did. And so once I started aiming a little bit higher, I was more consistent with my secondaries, or not my secondaries, citadels. I was more consistent getting
Hmm.
citadels. Now Bajay, same concept. I've had to do the same thing. I've just kind of every shot that I take in this thing, I lower it down at the water, start there, and if I drop short, then I immediately go back up. So try that out when you guys are playing the Ismo or the Bajay. But I'm hands down 100% on this boat. If you guys can't get it in a box, go spend the $70 because it is a good boat. But is it worth $70?
I mean, if you got money to burn and you want that, You know, I I've spent $70 on a ship package before myself.
Alaska.
Um, uh, did I?
I don't know. Either way, it doesn't
I
matter.
think actually I think I did, but I mean, the first time was Turpits, so, and
Yeah.
that wasn't the last time, definitely.
Yeah. So if you guys are going to buy one, out of these three, I would say the Bajaj is the way to go. Now, just so you know, the play style of this thing is pretty much exactly like the Izmo. You're not really going to want to push in too much because of the way the pin values on this thing. You are going to overpin a fuckload. I can't stress that enough. You are going to overpin like a some bitch. All right, you go. It's just going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it because of the way the pin values work on this boat. But so what does that mean? That means you don't push in very much. So secondary builds is out of my question. I'm not even going to try it. I'm just going to stay up full tank. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. But I have seen people run a secondary build on it and pushing in on it, and I absolutely slaughtered them because I was able to knock their guns out. But that's another story. But there you go. There's my opinion on the Bajaj. It's good. It's good. 410
It's
millimeter
good.
guns. It's got that reverse turret. You do have the Izmo back end, so if you are running from people, I would recommend wiggling that motherfucker as possible because you can get citadel through the door of that hangar bay in the back. So you have to be
Yes, you
careful with
can.
that. You have to be careful with that. But if you are having to bow up, I don't recommend ever bowing up in this game anymore, especially with the amount of HE spam that there is. You know, Smolensk and all that motherfuckers. Uh, I don't recommend bowing up. I still recommend being not maybe full speed, but still being mobile the entire game. Don't limit yourself and stop because if you stop, then you're guaranteeing that you're going to die. So
Yeah, it accelerates like a turd. So
yeah,
I agree with you completely.
yep. So there you go. That's it, boys. That's the Lunar New Year. That's the three boats that they got coming out. So let's take a second here, and I'll offer you guys just a little bit more time to get in, to get into the Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that we talked about today, go ahead and answer Venom IK, and we'll copy pasta. We got a little bit, but we always answer more questions. So go ahead and ask those questions. Wanted to let you guys know, ship of the week winner was hold on, let me farting chick. Farting Chick won. The ship of the week was the Sims A or Sims B or Sims and Sims B, and the one that got the most experience won. And Farting Chick won that as they were the only person to actually put in a total. So if you guys want to get in for the ship of the week this week, which we're gonna reveal here in just a second, is go to that discord.gg/servantmik and put in the screenshots. Put in screenshots in the podcast ship of the week channel. That is the only place for it, and I will pull the winners out of there every week. And I've got Farting Chick his community contributor box crate, whatever it was for this week. So all right, Fitz. So I put it to you. Ship of the week last week was Sims or Sims B. Now I've asked Fitz to choose a boat that he either likes or he doesn't like, or he wants to see more people play, or maybe he doesn't want to see people play it. But this is where we're going to challenge him on it. We're going to take the most experience / damage, whichever one I feel is better, and so we can do a giveaway on. So what do you think?
Arkansas Beta.
Arcade? Oh, that now. I mean, it's got to be.
I'm joking. You can't do
I
that.
mean, you can't do that. I mean, not too many people have that one, but something that everybody would be regularly available.
Uh,
And then you tell me why.
Mayhem.
The Mayhan, Tier 7 American Destroyer, the Mayhan.
Yep.
There you go.
No, not you, bar. Are you kidding me?
So,
Yuck.
so there it is, boys. The Tier 7 American Destroyer, the Mayhan. Now, I'm going to take the top damage / experience, just basically the best game out of that. You guys put it in that Discord right there. Look at Podcast Ship of the Week, and we're looking for the Mayhan. Go ahead. Tell them why.
And I picked that one because it's it's the one where I mean, like the American DDs don't really shine like they used to anymore, but for that line, I think that's the first one where I feel that there isn't too many weaknesses. Um, you know, the torps are fine, the detection is fine, the firepower is fine, the smoke is great, the speed is all right. Speed's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Um, so it can handle its own. If you're up tiered, you're not going to get absolutely shit on. You might have to think about how you're going to play a little bit better, but if you're top tier, it's a solid boat all the way around. And so I don't see too many mayhems anymore, and that was the other reason why I picked it. And because I think it's a good boat. It was once I got past the Clemson, I was like, I wasn't having too much
Nicholas
fun.
isn't
But
that
when I,
great. The Farragut can be okay with 6.4
yeah,
kilometer torps. But the Mayhem really shines once you max it out. You get the last hull and you get the torpedo upgrade
yep,
to 9.2.
yep,
You start having a little bit. You start getting that flavor of the American DDs of flexibility. You can gunboat if you need to gunboat under 6, and if you take a lot of damage under that, then you can torpedo with 9.2s. And the detection is still kind of high for tier 7 at 6 and change. It's still kind of rough sometimes, but overall, I think the Mayhen's a good boat. It's got 4 torpedoes on one side, 4 torpedoes on the other, and it's got a flex that can go either side.
yep,
So
exactly.
it's not a bad boat. It's a I when I have reset the American DD line and I'm back up through the Benson, and I haven't played the Benson in a while, but it's a Mayhem was fun. Mayhem, I did not have any problems playing through any of the American DDs except for probably tier 5. I just felt tier 5 was a little underpowered, but tier 7 is really good. Is really good. So all right, there you go. Mayhem USS tier 7 or USA tier 7 destroyer. There you go. So I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, let's put those head over to the discord.gg/servermik. Put those screenshots into podcast ship of the week, and I will do the let everybody know who won next week. So there you go. That's how it works. You have a week to get it in, and so Farting Chick has won the last 3 of them because he's been the only person to actually put pictures in there. So if you guys don't want Farting Chick to win, and you guys want to get a container code, community contributor container code, put your put your screenshots in there. So there you go.
And the streak.
Yeah, in the streak, baby, in the streak. All right. So let's jump over into our Q&A session. Not too many. We'll get through these pretty quick. So if anybody else has any questions, the first one I want to address: Nicholas is underpowered. Yes, when you have opposites of 5.5 kilometer torpedoes, you have to play really dangerous to get those off. So I think it's underpowered. I think the longer torps would help that. But anyway, it's besides the point. That's my opinion. West64 says, I just faced off in a Massachusetts versus a Hindenburg, and I got smashed. We were talking about RNG and battleships not being able to put people down like they should. What do you think? That's a rough thing, man. Like, the only thing I could say to playing against that cruiser is to turn around and fucking run from him and let your secondaries do most of the work as you're trying to do anything. Aim high on him, try to knock out his gun, something to slow that guy down with the damage, because if he gets close enough to you, some 6 kilometer peats coming out and you're getting smashed.
Yeah, and there's 8 of them, and it sucks.
Yep.
And they hit hard.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're outside your secondaries, have fun. If he's kiting away, it sucks because
Yo, if he's kiting away,
sometimes when that Massachusetts, when it hits hard, but that's if it hits,
yeah,
and that's a big if, because the dispersion is just shite on it, and that's unfortunate. But
it really is.
but I mean, get used to it. That's all I could say. Run for the hills, and hopefully you don't get caught out, in a bad spot. So, but it's usually that's another thing. You usually see a Hindenburg, they start firing about 16 kilometers away because they're going to hit you, and they will. If they miss the first time, they're probably going to hit you the second time. and at that range, they have enough speed and turning ability to turn out of wherever you're firing at, and so they get kind of hard to hit. And at an angle, you're not going to do that much to them,
Yeah,
regardless of what ship you're in. So
pretty much.
it's a pain.
Definitely a
It's a
pain.
great boat. Hindenburg is a great boat. So don't
Yeah,
feel bad that you lost to
and
one.
they just got a buff.
Yeah, and they
And they
got
got a
buff.
buff. They were at originally the game. They were at 10-second reloads. Then they nerfed it to 11 seconds. Then they buffed it to 10.5 seconds. And then they buffed it to 8 seconds
It's stupid.
or 9.8 seconds. They buffed it to 9.8 seconds. With all the buffs on it, you can get it down really, really fucking low. That boat was a
Yeah,
monster at 10. It was a monster at 11, and now it's a fucking super monster here at 9.8 seconds. Whatever the buffs are, it's
yep,
ridiculous. The Hindenburg has always been one of the strongest cruisers at tier 10, and it's the longer.
absolutely.
And you notice this. Most of the majority of the people that say what are the strongest cruisers, it's one of four boats. It's one of four boats: Hindenburger, the Zhao, the Henry, or the Venzia. Why? Because they're long range spammers. Maybe not HE on the Venzia, but they hit like a truck, and it's hard to fucking hit them. Those are what people consider the best in this game for cruisers. Would you guys agree or disagree with that? I don't know. Let me know.
I agree.
All right. Bluntosaurus says, I like the old ways. You screw up and you're dead, and it made it feel like you're taking a risky move. Yeah, there's definitely risk rewards, Blunt. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are making mistakes that aren't being punished for you. That aren't being punished for it, and then they're going to continue to make those mistakes because they're not being punished for it. It's like a positive reinforcement for a very negative action, so they're going to continue to do that. I think that is a problem that this game has had by making it a little bit too easy for people to survive, as opposed to punishing those people that are making those big mistakes. What do you think?
Absolutely. We spent quite a few minutes talking about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely.
Moose 2271 says, every time I ever mention realism to them, I assume it's wargaming, I always got the response, this is not real, it's an arcade game. See, this is the part of the doubling of the standards that I was talking about earlier. I didn't really go too much into detail about double standards and how it's good for one, good for the other. But if you're going to have realism the way my shells interact with cruisers as a battleship, then there needs to be some interaction with cruiser or battleships versus these destroyers, or these CVs versus the AA, or the way that my battleship shells bounce off of fucking armored decks. You can't set CVs on fire. You can't you can't flood them. You cannot kill these things, and yet they're going to continue to have unlimited planes. So the realism versus the arcade argument. If you're going to have realism for my shells, then goddamn it, I better have realism for those guys. So it's not fair. They're like double standard. Okay, well we need these guys to survive a little bit more. So fuck this entire class. And that's kind of the feeling that I've gotten from wargaming with the releases and what they've done over the past probably 2.5 years. What do you think?
Um, yeah. Well, another thing too that I was thinking about on that is that if you put in realism, then you take out every paper ship in the game. You know, and I've been flamed for using a paper ship, just like I'm sure everyone else has. But like, um, you're taking away from the pool of ships. The number, and then if you use realism, fuck, how many rehashes are you gonna have to use? Oh, and then we get the South Dakota and we get the New Jersey, and those are two ships that I've heard about, that we've wanted,
Mm-hmm.
that people have wanted, and how many uh Fletcher class destroyers are you gonna put out?
Dude, how
And
many
how
Fletcher
many?
class destroyers did they fucking make? They could
Yeah,
just slap a name
and
on it and they call it something else. So
yep,
I don't ever have a problem with paper ships. I don't care. I just want to play. All right, I want to play, and when I play, I want it to
right,
be fair. Your
yep,
realism that you've done for battleships versus cruisers. is only fair one-sided.
Right.
That's the thing.
You know, and when, you know, like at the absolute most, and it was only a few ships that did it, and they were all Americans that could fit 100 planes on their in their hangars and their decks, and they're loaded, you know, and it's like they were taking those planes to offload them to somewhere else, but typically they had around 70 that they used maximum, and so the other, I think like something like the Kaga only fit like 60 something, you know, it wasn't that much. And
Yeah.
so, you know, so you want to use realism. Okay. So you want to be able to deplane a CV and make the CV play smart instead of just throwing their planes away and, you know, spotting everything, you know, even if they get their squadron shot down, they just spotted, you know, 4 or 5 ships. And it's like, okay, those guys are over there. Fine.
Here's the
Oh, that's too bad. I have a squadron. Oh, look, I have another squadron I could put up again, you know, and so,
well that talk that conversation right there boils down into this. Well, if you know that if you lose all your squads, you're not going to have unlimited planes. Well, I'm sorry, but you still have the ability to have unlimited planes. And if the Kaga can only carry how many planes you said? 60 some odd planes? 32
yeah,
of them
it
are on the
wasn't that
deck at the
much.
beginning of the fucking game.
Right.
So my fix for this is come back 150 planes for the tier 10s, 125 for the tier 9s or whatever, tier 8s, and then let bomb 100 planes for the rest of the boats from tier 8 from below tier 8. 6 and 4 100 planes period. That way, that
Yeah.
gives us as players an opportunity to shoot these things down and to actually be effective because they can absolutely dominate us to where we're ineffective with our AA. A la the HE
Right.
spam, a la the bombers, the rocket spam knocks out our AA. We are using up our AA buttons that are finite. They're not infinite. I don't have them unless you're playing the Atlanta. You know, they go away. So you're whittling down our ability to counter this thing, and yet we can't counter you 100%. You can counter me 100%, but I can't counter you 100%. This goes back to fairness.
Right.
If you knock it down to where you have 150 planes total, 150 planes total, then you're going to have to designate how many of those planes are rocket planes, how many of those planes are torpedo bombers, how many of those are regular bombers or AP bombers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or or if you fly out a squadron of torpedo bombers and they get all shot down, then you can have your planes back immediately. I think that that's what they need to do. Fuck the reload of the time of the planes. Give it back to them immediately. I would be okay with that because I can eventually shoot down all of your planes.
Right.
And gives me a personal feeling that I am actually doing something competent for the team, that I am shitting on your planes and you can only have so many planes. Period.
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
No, that's that. Yeah, I can dig that because you have a number. I mean, you have a number. So, and then you can kind of take a look at that and say, okay, this guy's getting fucking low, you know, and so then you can probably play more aggressive and push on in and, you know, make some moves
Right.
instead of, okay, who's he going after? Oh, okay, he's going over there. I'm safe for a little bit, you know, but
Yep.
oh well.
All right. So the next comment comes from Link78. Says they can make battleships stronger, but maximum of 3 in one game. I don't like that. They have a maximum of 5 destroyers in a game. Maximum hard cap 5. You can
And
have
which you don't
unlimited.
see.
You have unlimited cruisers and you have unlimited battleships. The thing about it is, if you hard cap battleships and to maximum of 3, then what are you going to fill it up with? More cruisers? Guess what, guys? More cruisers doesn't equal a better game. I think, honestly, the more cruisers you have in game, the worse the game is for people. Simply for the fact that A, they're probably going to be at max range. B, you're not going to be able to hit them with those 3 battleships. And C, they're going to set you on fire 90% of the game. So I don't think that limiting battleships to maximum of 3 is the right answer.
Yeah, if there's going to be a maximum, I think the minimum would have to at least start at 4 because then you could put just because of map layout, in general, there's three caps, unless you're playing team deathmatch, which not my favorite thing, but whatever.
Standard battle
But yeah, standard battle.
sucks, by the way.
But there, just if you're not doing that, typically there's three, one on each side, one in the middle. You can have a battleship protect one, and then you can have one flex, and that's the important thing is, because the game is about position, and it is, and so if you cap the battleships, you can't flex them. They're just there. And then all of a sudden you have what? You can put six cruisers and fucking have them rain death and three destroyers, and so I don't know about the three battleship thing. I don't see that working out.
Yeah. Now,
So you got to be able to move and you got to be able to flex, you got to be able to position, and you got to be able to drop the shots, and so um yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that.
there you go. West 64 says the Thunder fire shells almost the same size as a destroyer. Thunderer guns are 457s, right? And you're gonna sit there and
Yes.
tell me you want to? It's okay, man. We got realism here for battleships versus cruisers, and realism here versus battleships versus destroyers. And if you guys notice that realism only really hurts the battleships, like literally, it only hurts the battleships. In every other instance of realism in the game, it's a buff for the destroyers and it's a buff for the cruisers, but it knocks the dick in the dirt of the battleships. Fucking 16-inch shell is taller than me. I'm almost 6 foot tall. It's taller than me. I have a picture of me standing on the Iowa with a fucking 16-inch armor-piercing shell standing right next to me, and it's taller than me. Yeah, it's a lot heavier than me too. Not by much, but it is. These things would break
It's
these
a
boats in
small
half.
car.
And not only that, but if you're going to, you know what? Here's an idea. Let's fix battleship versus destroyers. Let's just add flooding to the fucking overpins again.
Oh, remember that? That was the good old days. I love that.
Let's add overpin floods on destroyers because I'm only getting 1 or 2, 3 shots into you. Let's fucking do some fucking damage. So where's the fairness? Where's the fairness again? Anyway, the main focus on the premium tier 9 and 10 ships, the tech trees aren't their focus anymore. Warhealer Gaming said this. I think that Wargaming has gone for profit, which I'm not against profit, but when
Right,
they
it's a business,
sacrifice quality of life, when they sacrifice quality of the game, and they want to be receptive, or they pretend to be receptive. I don't know, for lack of a better word. I think that they miss out on a majority of the community, and they just follow along of the other things. Honestly, man, I honestly think that they're getting ready to sell the fucking company. This is my own opinion. This has nothing to do with them, but they're going to show how profitable this game can be just before they dump it off. You know what I mean? That's what generally companies do.
you make a interesting point.
Now, is that going to happen? No, it probably won't happen. But that's just a little theory going out. That's worst case scenario. They sell it to another company, which I doubt they'll do because they love the game so much because it's very profitable for them. Here's the deal. They
Yeah.
posted more. I don't even know if they posted it or whatever, but I can tell you right now they made more money last year with all the premiums and shit that they did versus more money than they did any of the other years before. Right? We had at least 20 plus premium ships come out that people bought last year.
Yep.
They're scheduled already. There's 3 already this year. 3. I don't know what anything else came out this year already in this first month that was premium. I don't remember, but they're doing the gambling or the loot boxes every fucking patch. There's a new loot box. There's a new currency every patch. There's a new buy this and then see what your next one is. Those things every patch. So they're making their money. My only problem is that when they're making their money, they are forgetting about the quality of the game. Because if your quality goes to shit, people will stop playing. Now I know we're a long way from people stopping playing this game, but I can see this. I can see the very chips in the earner. You know,
Yeah, yeah, but um, that's like if you're doing 9 and 10 ships, you're pretty much at the top of the mountain, right? And so you don't have to do all the work. You just pay for it, and it's not the pay to win; it's
pay to look good, pay
pay
to
to advance,
advance. Yeah,
or whatever. And so unless they like release something else that would be comparable to the Julio Cesare or the Kamikaze slash Fujin, where you have this absolutely fantastic ship that you play at low tier, there's just going to be no money in it. All these ships at tier 9 and 10, you buy them, they're going to hit hard, they're going to do something cool, and they're probably going to look really good too at the same time. And so I I always thought that's where the money was going to be from the beginning. It's
eight to
like,
10. Yeah.
man,
Oh,
8 to
absolutely,
10, and
absolutely.
so in the beginning, right after open beta, there was quite a few of the lower tier ships that you could buy. Atlanta was the first one, and it just kind of worked its way around that, and that's because that's where everyone was at. 4 years later, we have who knows how many people have like they're literally waiting on like the next line to come out or the next premium ship to come out because it'll be new,
Right.
and so
So let's put this into perspective
it
for the
makes
guys.
sense.
Let's put this into perspective for the guys. At a tier 5 cruiser or a tier 5 destroyer, $12 for the OK Hotnik. $12 for the OK Hotnik.
On
Now,
boat.
fun boat, definitely. Tier 2, $5 for a Tachi Banana. And sometimes you can find the Smith or Tachi Banana for $1. Right? So you're not going to get the
All
volume.
fun too.
You're not going to get the fucking
Right.
volume. So I don't knock them for doing it because I know it is a business. $10 for an Aurora at at tier 3. But nobody plays that for very much.
Hmm.
Marblehead, 1360. If anybody buys that boat, y'all are idiots because that boat sucks. Exeter at 1720. Yahagi at 1720. 1720 for the Genova. Arguably, boats. All right, battleships would be the most pricey thing. $21.40 at tier 5. Okay, let's go from tier 7. Go to tier 7. That's tier 6. Sims 2120. So you can get the Sims at $21.20, same price as a tier 5 battleship. Bliss $20.40, 22 for the Leningrad. Indianapolis $31.20. The Boise
Interesting.
35.20. The Wavy 35.20. 35.20 for the Godzilla. 35.60 for the Abruzzi. Now let's look at battleships. $38 for the Ashitaka, $39 for the Poltava, and $39.20 for the Scharnhorst. $40 for the Hood, $40 for the Duke of York. Okay, that's $40 for the tier 7 battleships. Let's look at tier 8 battleships.
Mm.
Tier 8 battleships. Where are the tier 8? Alabama $50, gas can $50.80, $51.20 for the Tirpitz, $52.20 for the Massachusetts. Key is at $52.80, and the Vanguard's at $53.20. Roma's at $53.60. So $50. That's quite a bit more than the tier 7s, and that's a hell of a lot more than the
True.
fucking tier 5. So of course they're going to do it. $78 for the tier 9 John Bart. $77 for the Georgia. Why would they not?
Wow.
77 for the Bajaj. Why would they not want to put money into that tier? So I don't knock them for doing it. I don't knock them for doing it at all. Because why? People will fucking buy it. People will fucking buy those ships. If you can slap on $100 for a tier 10 fucking boat, and if it's a battleship, people will fucking buy it. Now, if you want to slap on $100 for something else, maybe not. Maybe not. But battleships, they will always be sold. They will always be expensive, and they'll always be worth it. Whether you like the boat or not, you're probably going to get your money's worth out of it because, fuck, I paid $100. This thing better be good. Right? So, I don't know. I think they've gone a different direction with quality versus quantity. Does that make sense? Either way. I don't know. Bluntosaurus says they removed the skill it used to take into getting kills and surviving. Well, it's all RNG now.
Yeah, now it's damage farming.
Yep,
You
pretty
know,
much. Cruisers have survived so long that
gotta get my
all they're doing is
damage,
damage farming.
boost my PR.
Fucking
Must make
PR.
me a good player to get my damage. With my 45% win rate, but I got a high PR.
Yep. DeKing
Good job.
says nerfing rocket
Sweet.
planes will reduce the demand for premium CVs, though. Good. Fuck CVs. Quit selling them. Quit making them. They're terrible. They have no business being in the game. They're unbalanced, and they will never be unbalanced. They will never be balanced. They will never find a good, solid balance between carriers and surface ships, ever. Mark my words. They will never find a good balance. Submarines have a better chance of being balanced before carriers will. Because if you take one thing down here, you have to add something over there. It's a never-ending cycle, and carriers are one of those that will always be in that cycle. OG Mad Willie said, would making smaller maps for high tiers occur more often be a boon or a bane? I think that I don't think that it's a boon for it. I think it's a bane because smaller maps for bigger boats make it rough. Make it rough because now you can literally sit on the 10 line.
What if they did that and gave it a 10-minute timer? Where it's just a fucking shit show. I think that would actually be fun. But 20 minutes.
Well, we saw that with the smaller maps with smaller groups of people. Have another fucking game mode which they could do. Small games.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
10-minute games, small maps at tier 8 and above.
Yeah,
simple as that. Why won't they do that? I mean, they gave us the smaller maps during that last rank season. That last tier 7 or the tier 8 1v1s, there was really small maps. Yep. That was a good idea. Now put 6 people on there or put 7 people on that and have it a new game mode. This is the quality that we're talking about. We have 3 game modes. We have standard shitter battle, which is boring as fuck. We have domination, and we have very seldom do we have epicenter, which I really enjoy. A lot of people don't like it, but I do. So this is the things that we need. We need more game modes, and that's a good game mode. Small games, small teams. I think, and if they reward it, fine, it'll be great. As for smaller maps and higher tiers, here's my thoughts on maps. They need to take a look at how maps are tiered currently, and they need to retool it because there's no reason to see a tier 6 on Crash Zone Alpha because that map is way too fucking big for tier 6.
Right.
They need to take tier 10s off of Haven. That map is way too small for tier 10s. And I just don't like tier 10s on that map. Anyway, besides the point. Anyway, was I a secondary spec tank or accuracy build? I was secondary tank build on my GK there, Sailor McJohn. Big Terp says, without overpins, the Smolinx becomes reasonable. Without smoke, the Smolinx becomes fair. Because you limit the ability for him to move around the map willy-nilly. Because that's the biggest problem, because that Smolinx can literally go anywhere on the fucking map and still be 100% effective. The Colbert and the Worcester and the Minotaur and the Harry Gumbo to a lesser extent because it's a DD, can only go in certain areas because where they need islands to help. They cannot just go anywhere they want to and just pop smoke because they don't have it. Minotaur maybe you can, but so there you go. I mean, take the smoke off of it, it's fine. Or raise the detectability of being shooting in smoke over what its hydro range is.
Yep.
I think that's also another thing. I like LG Mad Willie says I like the Arian. I wish the guns were a tad bit bigger. What are those on that? 155s. I think it's 155s on the Kudersoft, right?
Yes.
Maybe 152s. Either way, that's pretty good.
Somewhere around there.
Warhealer Gaming says, haven't spent any euros in 2020 on WoWs, and I'm feeling much better. Good. Don't. Spend your money or don't. It's your money, not mine. No Quarter Ass says, CVs are just stupid. They're never going to get integrated into the game in a cohesive, fair way. I think I just said that. And that's the same comment. So there you go. That's all the questions I got Anything else you wanna tell them about anything we talked about today?
No. Think we covered the bases on this one.
All right, there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to pick up the Mayhem and go play it. Drop it into the Discord right there, discord.gg/SirVenomIK. And put you a screenshot in there of your best game, and the winner will be announced next week. Speaking of next week, let's go ahead and give you guys an update. I have Lord Zath going to be on next Tuesday, which is February the 4th, I believe. Yep. And then the week after that, I have Virtual Senpai will be on the 12th, which is a Wednesday. And then I have scheduled my man Chaos Machine, Unbelievable This, is gonna join us on Wednesday the 19th for the podcast. And then I have Static the Warmongler at the end of February. And then first week of March, Mo Like is going to join us on the podcast.
No fucking way. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mo Like it's going to join us. So I got the next 5 weeks scheduled for the podcast. So hopefully you guys are able to make it. All of these times will vary, and you guys hang out in the channel, twitch.tv/SirVenomIK, or hit me up over at Sir_Venom_IK for more information if you guys have it, or if you guys want to jump in the Discord and talk to me, I'll be here. Podcast next week will start at Tuesday at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. We will do about a half an hour pre-show like we did today, but a little bit less than an hour, like hour and 20 minutes. Fits. Anyway, we'll start up about 6:30 on Tuesday, February the 4th, and for Lord Zath, it'll be a good time, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Pan-European DDs, and we'll talk about whatever else is happening there as well. I want a big shout out to my man Fitz in your aft, man. I do appreciate it for coming on, man. Short time, short notice, and also.
Hey man, anytime.
I'm just thank you for helping me out, man. The guy that I had scheduled, you know how it goes. People get sick, people change, and they don't want to do the cast for some one reason or another. So I appreciate you for picking up for me. And congratulations last night, winning. I quote here, winning the Wukong on our giveaway tonight, guys. We're going to give away the Tier 9 Bajie. We're going to do that right after the podcast. So if you guys want to come in and hang out for that, we'll start up the giveaway here in just a little bit. So anyway, guys, all of you, thank you very much for watching. Episode 44 of the Cross Your Bow podcast is now in the books. Woo! It was a good one, man. I appreciate it again. Thank you, Fitz, for watching. Or thank you for watching. Thanks, Fitz, for joining me here. I really appreciate it, man. Had a good time. It's always a fun time, and you're always welcome back whenever you want to come on, man. All right, so thank you guys very much for watching. We will see you guys next week with Lord Zath as we talk about the Pan-European DDs in a little bit more detail. I love you guys. Tell them goodbye, man.
Goodbye, man. Peace out.
All right, there you go, man. We'll see you guys next week. I love you, man. I'm Sir Venom IK. Salutes.